Hey guys, tonight we're going to talk about lesson 1.6, equivalent ratios. So I apologize if my nose sounds kind of funny. I was fine today, a little bit of runny nose because the mask always makes my nose run. But I got home all of a sudden and my nose got all stuffy, so I don't know what that's all about. So I apologize if I sound like my nose is plugged. It's not really, I can breathe through it. So let's start off by what on earth do I mean by equivalent ratios? So let's get a nice definition. So equivalent, equal, and the valent is like value, equal value. Okay, so that's a little hint what this is about. So this can be about ratios or it can be about rates. Oh boy. Once reduced to lowest terms, meaning the way that they look, they may not look like they're equal, but once you reduce them somehow, so ratio rates that have, once they've been reduced, the same or equal values. So there's that equivalent, equal values. Okay? So I'm going to give you some ways to determine whether you have ratios or rates that are equivalent. So I'm going to give you a couple of different strategies to determine if ratios / rates are equivalent. Equivalent. So, way one is use unit rates. Now, I only use this if I can divide the denominator evenly into the numerator, right? Because that's how you get a unit rate. So, remember, unit rate means denominator equals 1. Okay, I know that's Mark V's favorite answer to give us. Okay, so use unit rates. Denominator equals 1. So what you're going to do is you're going to divide numerator and denominator. Numerator and denominator by the denominator. So that's going to give you a 1 in the denominator, and then you'll have a number on top. Once both of your ratios or rates have the same, have 1 as the denominator, you're just going to compare, let's say, let me do this for each ratio or rate. So once you get a denominator of 1 for each of your ratios or rates, then all you're going to do is compare the numerators. Okay, and if the numerators match, now that remember the denominator equals 1, then the ratios or rates are equivalent. So that means if they don't match, then they're not equivalent, right? Okay. So the only problem with that is if the denominator doesn't go in evenly, then it's going to make the division a little bit more challenging. Another strategy we could try is we could do, let's call it equivalent fractions. Create equivalent fractions. And you're going to find the common denominator. So this one takes a little bit more thought. Find the common denominator for the two ratios or rates. So that's step one. And then you're going to create two fractions, or they'd be new. I'm going to say fractions, ratios or rates. Using the common denominator. And so remember, that's when you multiply, if you multiply the denominator, let's say by 3, you got to multiply the numerator by 3. And just like with unit rates, once the denominators match, you're just going to compare the numerators. Oh, I don't know why I'm having such trouble spelling. Compare the numerators. And the same thing, if the numerators are the same, then you have equivalent ratios or rates. And if the numerators aren't the same, then we've got a problem. And then the last strategy we're going to talk about is something called cross products. So I'm going to give kind of a general description of this. I'm going to use some words, and then I'm going to show you kind of an algebra way of saying it. I know, don't freak out. Cross products is if you multiply one numerator by the other fraction's denominator, so that's the first thing we do. And then set that product, which is the answer to multiplication problem, equal to the other numerator times the other denominator. If they are equal, yes, then we have equivalent ratios. Or rates. Okay, so I'm going to go over here to the left so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's say we have fraction AB is equal to fraction, or we're trying to see if they're equal, CD. So if I multiply one numerator by the other denominator, I'm going to get the product AD. If, and then I'm going to go the other direction, so B times C is going to give me BC. So if those are equal, then they're equivalent. Ratios. I'm just going to say ratios. Now, if I do that multiplication, and they aren't equal, then we say not equivalent. Oh, I can't even spell today. I am so sorry. Equivalent. Okay, so what I'm going to do is on the next side, we're going to go through some examples. Now, some of these are going to be given to you in story form, so you're going to have to wade through it. But they're pretty straightforward, okay? So I'm just going to write down problems, and we're going to practice them. So next side, and I'll show you the different strategies, how they work. So our directions are going to say, determine if each pair of ratios or rates, most of these are rates, are equivalent. And then explain your thinking. So it's not just, yeah, I think so because they look like they would be. That doesn't help. Okay. All right, so here we go. We've got 36 t-shirts, and they are going to be in 3 boxes. And we've got 60 t-shirts in 6 boxes. Okay, so I'm going to show this problem all 3 ways, and you can decide what you think is good. So let's start with unit rates. So I'm going to take 36 t-shirts over 3 boxes, and we're kind of see if that's equivalent to 60 t-shirts in 6 boxes. So we're going to do unit rates. So that means I'm going to divide top and bottom of the first fraction by 3, and I'm going to divide top and bottom of the second ratio or rate by 6. So let's see, what does that give us? See, 36 divided by 3 is 12. So I get 12 t-shirts over 1 box. And again, we're going to look at what we get on the other side. So 60 divided by 6 is 10 t-shirts. And that's going to give me over 1 box. And we could see 12 doesn't equal 10. Okay? So we would conclude that these aren't congruent. And we could say the rates aren't congruent or equivalent. Let's use that word, sorry. Equivalent. Because the unit rates aren't equal. 12 does not equal 10. Okay? So that's using our unit rates. So I'm going to put that here. Unit rates. The next one was using equivalent fractions. So again, we're going to do 36. I'm just going to say t's over 3 boxes. And we want to know if they're equal to 60 t's in 6 boxes. Okay, so what I'm looking at is I need to come up with a common denominator for 3 and 6. So at the smallest, it could be the bigger number. Can 3 go into that? The answer is yes. So what I'm going to do is to create 2 fractions that have 6 in the denominator. So 6 boxes for this one, and the other one is also going to be 6 boxes. So we're curious here. So if I multiplied 3 by 2, I get to 6. So if I multiply 36 times 2, I get 72 t's. Now I already have 6 boxes, so I don't have to change the numerator. So I get 60 t's. Okay? So you're like, okay, 72 does not equal 60. So again, our answer is no. So the rates are not equivalent. because the numerators on the new fractions with a common denominator the numerators on the new fraction are not equal. And you could say 72 is not equal to 60. Okay? So here comes the last one. So this is where we're going to do cross product. So this one was equivalent fractions. Okay, so they have common denominators. All right, and then the last one is the cross products. So in that one, we're going to take our 36 t's over 3 boxes, and we're going to do 60 t's over 6 boxes. And what we said we're going to do is multiply on the diagonals. So we're going to multiply 36 times 6 and set it equal to 60 times 3. So this is where it gets a little trickier, that we have to be able to understand how to do the math. So 36 times 6, let's see, we get 36. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 3 is 21. So I get 216. And then over here I get 180. Those aren't equal. So again, I would conclude that the rates are not equivalent because the cross products are not the same, or let's say are not equal. And then I would just list 216 does not equal 180. Okay, so that is cross products. So what you have to do is kind of say, hey, which one of these strategies makes the most amount of sense to me? And then you just need to practice it. So let's do a couple more examples. I'm going to go to the next screen, and I'm only going to solve it one way, okay? And I'll just kind of alternate. So second example, we're going to have 42 flowers in 7 vases and 54 flowers in 9 vases. Okay, so we're going to put the 42 flowers on top, 7 vases on the bottom, and we want to know if that's equivalent to 54 flowers on top and 9 vases on the bottom. So I'm going to be practicing the unit rates, because I noticed 7 goes into 42 and I know that 9 goes into 54. It really does help when you know your multiplication facts. Just kind of stuck in my head all my life. So let's see what we get. 42 divided by 7 is 6 over 1 vase. So once I can get them to have the same denominator, so 54 divided by 9 is 6. Ooh, this is looking good. Over 1 vase. Since those are identical, yes, we would say they are equivalent. So we would say the rates are equivalent. Because both have a unit rate of 6 flowers curvace. So again, I'm throwing in a little piece of information. Okay, let's do one more, and I'm going to do cross products. The only thing I don't like about the equivalent fractions is sometimes you start getting super large numbers, trying to find a common denominator and then changing the numerators. Okay, so let's see, we've got 10 bracelets for 5 friends, and 12 bracelets for 4 friends. So we're going to start by writing them as a fraction. So we have 10 bracelets on top, and because these are, come on you, rates, because 2 different labels, we're going to include those labels as we set them up. We want to know if that's the same as 12 bracelets. Uh-oh, forgot my E. For 4 friends. Okay, so I'm going to do the cross product method. And I'm going to multiply 10 times 4. And we're going to see if that's the same thing as 12 times 5. I don't know why I do my operation symbols differently, but I did. So 10 times 4 is 40, and 12 times 5 is 60. Ooh, that's not true. So you would say the rates are not equivalent because the cross products aren't equal. And I'll just list out what that is. 40 does not equal 60. Okay? So there you go, and we'll have fun practicing this. See you later, guys. Bye.